Think about that one road in your town, no matter where you live, the one you dread to drive. It's always overloaded with traffic. You could swear they purposely make those traffic signals out of sync to make you catch the red light every time. Bossier City has one. It's called Airline Drive. But there's one airline red light one small group of people will never curse again. Tonight on The Good Stuff, how this traffic light stopped just the right people at just the right time. It's a Thursday morning, 8:25 a.m.
For some reason that day I decided to take Airline. I figured I'd just take my chances with the lights.
And usually this is the last place you'd want to be.
I ended up getting stopped at that light right on East Texas and Airline. I was first in line.
But leave it to Kendra Kempen to try to make a positive from the most miserable moment in morning commutes, going nowhere anytime soon. That's the norm on Airline Drive in Bossier City, but never in a million red lights.
Then right as the light was getting ready to turn green, I felt a bump.
Would this mother of two ever expect what happened next? She knew she'd been hit, so she gets out to check for damage on her SUV.
The only thing that there's these two tiny little scratches.
Yep, other than that, nothing really caught her eye, except what she saw when she looked through the windshield of the car behind her.
She just had her head kind of rested back and her eyes were closed. And so I knocked on her window and, just said, ma'am, are you okay? And she didn't respond.
And I immediately got out as I saw her trying to get the lady's attention.
One lane over, home health coordinator Jane Wood gets out of her car. In this lone photo taken that July 25th morning, you see Jane in scrubs joining a growing number of onlookers.
4 other people gathered around the car and were trying to open the car.
All 4 doors locked because the car was still in drive and literally pushing up against Kendra's.
I started panicking. Her respiration was getting slower and slower. And
you could see that through the window?
Yes.
No one's noticing. At the corner of East Texas and Airline, we have a lady passed out in her car.
Jane calls for help, but even with lights and sirens blaring,
I need engine-free trauma for...
there's no telling how long before help would make it through this traffic.
Airline in East Texas, Airline in East Texas.
And this is when, even I can admit, luck struck like catching all green lights down Airline Drive. I'm told someone passing through that intersection called their wife to tell them what they saw. That wife just happens to work just down the road from that pharmacy there and just happened to be standing within feet of a Bossier City police officer.
Come in.
That officer, Michael Iman, who dropped in to check on Miss Janice Castine the other day.
You doing a lot better?
A lot better.
Kind of like the way he did the morning of July 25th at the corner of Airline in East Texas when she stopped breathing behind the wheel of her car.
Tell you anything good about what all happened or anything?
I've heard bits and pieces.
Oh, I can't get her wake up.
You can hear Jane on that 911 call, still trying to rouse Miss Janice, just as Officer Iman got on scene.
Elderly white female has medical issues.
That's Iman updating dispatch and immediately getting to work.
They said someone broke the glass.
Yeah, I had to break
They
it.
broke the glass. That's fine.
With the car door finally open,
How you doing?
Jane joined Officer Iman in a true race against
Well,
time
come over here and let me shake your hand.
in the outside lane of Airline Drive.
Now, what part did you play?
I started CPR.
Miss Janice says she remembers nothing about that day, nothing about how 2 total strangers,
I knew your heart was stopped. I knew you weren't breathing. And I just acted on
a cop with extensive medical combat training,
It was terrifying.
and a nurse on her way into work, who both put their training to work.
it. Yeah, we were a pretty good team.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they wouldn't have got her out of the car, started CPR immediately, she wouldn't have made it.
Dr. Dirk Rainwater is Jane's boss. He's certainly proud one of his own helped save a life.
These kind of situations don't happen very frequently.
And even more proud, that life was one of his own.
Wasn't your time yet.
That wasn't my time.
No.
You see, Miss Janice is the doc's second cousin.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
ma'am.
Bless you.
So the next time you're one of the lucky ones stopped at a red-lighted airline in East Texas, sure, it will likely cost you a few minutes. But remember, it gave Miss Janice
Bless you.
the rest of her life back. Wow, a couple of big tips we all have learned from this. If you're ever in a similar situation. Initially, officers had a hard time finding Miss Janice's family members. So here's what a lot of first responders suggest. In your phone, whether it's my mom here. I covered her number up. I don't need you calling my mom. She's sleeping right now. But put ICE, that acronym there, whether it's your spouse or your best friend or your mom, because a lot of times first responders will type that in your phone and see what pops up in case of emergency. And that way they can find your family members just like that. Also, another big issue that they had, trying to break that window out. If you come up on a wreck, they make these little hammers that just shatter that window, or just put a part of a brick in the back seat. Who cares? Something that will actually get it done. And as we showed you last night, Officer Iman honored by City Council for his heroics. He's about as humble as they come. So it was a tough road just to get him in front of our camera, much less in front of City Council, but certainly well deserved.